today we're going to be doing a Halloween themed 3D printing activity at home. So we are going to be 3D printing a ghost with our own hands. So I have made one to try to sort of show you what we're going to be making. So I made a ghost and I 3D printed it with my hands. So the first thing to think about is to make sure you have a flat surface in front of us. Whenever we 3D print, it's really important to have a clean, flat bed to make sure your design comes out right. So if you're going to follow along with this activity, find a flat surface at home you can use, such as a table or a book. Okay, so we learned today about the difference between a two-dimensional and a three-dimensional object. So every 3D printed object starts with a two-dimensional image on a computer. Today, we're going to be drawing our own. So if anyone has access to a paper and pencil, go ahead and draw out your ghost. So I'm going to draw a ghost here. Okay. Here's my ghost. So I am going to use this drawing to help me build it using my clay. So we learned about the plastic filament, and this is the plastic that's fed into the 3D printer to create the 3D printed objects. Today, we're going to be using clay as our plastic filament. So let's go ahead and roll out some clay into long snake-like strips like I did here. I'll take a second and do that. You can use your hands or the table in front of you. We're going to roll our clay out so that it's a thin, long tube, just like the plastic used in 3D printers. Okay, so when you have a two-dimensional drawing, you need to think about how to make that into a three-dimensional object, like my ghost. How are we going to get from this two-dimensional drawing to a three-dimensional object like this one here? So the way 3D printing works is you build layer upon layer. Here I have some images. This is one image of the boat that you guys just saw. If we were to stop the 3D printing halfway through, maybe 15 minutes in, we would see this. It would be a flat cut across. So the first thing we're going to do is think about how our three-dimensional ghost would connect to the table. So I built the base of my ghost right here. If you looked at my ghost, this is what the bottom would look like. So first thing we're going to do is build the bottom of our ghost, however your ghost might look. All right, so now here we go. I have the bottom of my ghost. The next thing we're going to do is build another layer. The way 3D printing works is you build one layer on top of another, just like you see here, one layer and then another until you start to build the shape. So now I'm going to add the next layer of my ghost. Right on top. Okay, so now we are 2 layers in. When you 3D print an object, it has hundreds of layers because it's so thin. As you go with building, you're going to have to think about how your shape changes. So here, my base is eventually going to change into a circle to create the body of my ghost. So I'm going to start to transition into building the circle part of my ghost's body. So here I built that little circle. I'm going to add another layer. As you can see, we're starting to get a little three-dimensional. We started off flat as a base, and now we're already starting to have an object that's building up layer by layer. Here's another layer. So it's really important to think as you design something how you're going to be able to build it layer by layer. When you're 3D printing something, it needs to be an enclosed shape. You can't have any lines that just end. So see how when I drew my ghost, I made it an enclosed shape? I had this line where I started connect to my line at the end. This makes the printer be able to follow the lines. So we're doing an enclosed shape here. So see, we're starting to kind of get our ghost form like you see here. Another thing that 3D printing involves is post-printing. After you print your object, it might have some plastic rough edges from the printing process. A lot of makers and artists will go in and smooth down those edges. So something you can do when you finish your object later today is take your finger and go in and smooth down the layers so that you don't see those harsh lines. You can take some water and smooth down your clay. A lot of artists will do this so that you don't see the lines of the 3D printing, and so that it becomes one smooth, continuous object. So, I hope that you guys continue this activity at home. I want you guys to keep thinking about how you can 3D print objects and how you can take a 2-dimensional drawing, like this ghost, and make it into a 3-dimensional object using your hands or other things you have around you. Thanks so much for joining me today as we 3D printed our own ghost at home.